And these are really super gentle.
It would be easy to miss Seattle's Pratt Fine Arts Center if you were driving through the Central District. This public facility is nestled alongside a park not too far from the old Wonder Bread factory. It might not be as flashy as some of this region's arts institutions, but if Pratt's big capital campaign is successful, it's all going to change. Still, Pratt doesn't exist to impress. Its mission is to give everyone a chance to make art.
Hi, Marcy. Welcome to Pratt.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's almost spring here.
Yes.
I'm wondering, this is Pratt Park to the south, and here's the Pratt Center. So before we actually go inside,
Sure.
Who's Edwin Pratt?
Sure, we're named for Edwin T. Pratt, who led the Seattle Urban League from 1961 to 1969, at which time he was assassinated at his North Seattle home, a crime that's still unsolved. But Pratt's very proud to be a namesake of someone who was so important in our community.
It's been along here for how long?
We're on our 28th year now.
28th year?
That's right.
Wow.
Begun by the city as part of their Arts in the Parks program that started the Bathhouse Theater and Madrona Dance Theater and Pratt Fine Arts Center also.
So it was always a visual arts center?
It was always a visual arts center. It began as Pratt Fire Arts Center.
Is that glass?
That's glass and jewelry and sculpture, but soon after changed its name to Pratt Fine Arts Center.
Well, would you mind taking me
I'd love to.
inside?
So this is our jewelry studio.
And clearly a class is in progress.
There is. Here at Pratt, we set aside 50% of our time for classes and workshops. The other 50% is set aside for studio artists to come in and use the studios to produce their own work.
I know that there's artists in residence, and they're listed on your website. Are these the same artists that are teaching the class, or is that a separate thing?
That is a separate thing. We're fortunate. Poncho has funded an artist in residence program here at
Great.
Pratt that allows us to bring in 6 emerging artists each year with a great deal of promise, and to allow them to use our studios and especially explore new media is one of the goals of that program.
So this is jewelry that's metal jewelry?
That's right.
I take it?
All metal smithing, so you'll see we have cabinets for hand tools, small kilns that get used for enameling. Over here we have a soldering bench where people can solder on silver and copper and so on.
Do the students buy their supplies, or if you enroll in a class?
We provide basic supplies for all classes. Obviously, if a student wishes to work in a fine metal, then
24 karat gold, they have to pay
they're
for
responsible
themselves.
for bringing that in. But as much as possible, we try and make it easy.
So who are these students? Are they community members? Who are they exactly?
That's another fun thing about Pratt is that our students are everything from an avocational person taking their first glass class or ever to professional artists who want to explore different mediums. So one of the things, our office is up there, and I love looking down in the studios and seeing someone that I know is a well-known artist in one medium, and they're sitting side by side with someone who's trying their first class ever.
Did you come here first as an artist?
I came here as a volunteer because I like the energy. I enjoy printmaking and I enjoy clay, and it's hard not to get caught up in the energy here. There's more classes, including a hollowware studio, but let's go take a look at the flame working studio.
Flame, yes.
It's working with soft glass in front of a torch. It's really the same process as you may have seen with glassblowing, it's just happening at a lot smaller scale. They're working with propane and oxygen, which feed these torches, and then they're
Shouldn't
able
they have gloves on?
That's not really the issue. You'll see they're wearing eye protection, which is what's important
So
here.
blowing off your eyebrows or your eyelashes?
That's right.
I'm afraid to go a little, although I'm kind of
This is the
curious.
same technique that's used for glass bead making also, which happens in this studio. Flame working is interesting. It gets used for larger work than people normally think of. We think of the same process for beads. It's very small, but you can build components and add to them and make much larger works. This is Michael Rocco here. He's an instructor in this studio. Also a glass blower.
Is there a lot of crossover between people who do glasswork and people
You know,
who...
more and more. There didn't used to be, but more and more they're producing compatible glasses that will allow them to create elements here in flame working and then incorporate them into their hot glass work. I will say one of the most appealing things about flamework glass is it's repairable. You can break a piece of flamework glass and heat it again at the torch, and only you'll know that once it was on the floor in pieces. So something that's very appealing to me.
So you've taken this class. You do this work.
No, I'd love to. It's one of the things I've yet to do. I'd love to try it.
Wow. Cool.
You want to see the big stuff? Hot glass?
Yeah. Yes, so exciting.
One of our most popular studios, kind of
I bet.
toasty right now. You'll see we have the glass furnace there. That's about 150 pounds of glass that we keep at 2,200 degrees. 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, year round.
Really?
We do. We have to. If the glass were to cool, it would expand, push on the furnace, and ruin it.
But people can't work here 24 hours.
No, but we do have people working here from 9 in the morning all the way till 10 at night, every day of the week. Every evening at 10, someone comes in and charges the furnace with the glass that we melt down for the next morning.
So this is similar then to the other studios. Studio artists can come and use.
Absolutely, and this is one of the most popular studio for studio artists because it's such an amazing investment to build a studio like this. And so you'll have people, they come out of graduate school, they certainly can't afford their own studio.
No.
We become their studio, and that's one of our roles.
So do they pay dues? How do they take part in this?
They are a member of Pratt. They take a test to prove that they can use the equipment safely.
That sounds like a good idea.
And then they have a rental fee that they can pay by a 4-hour slot, by the day, whatever makes most sense for them.
What percentage of your budget comes from the memberships?
We have a membership of about 1,400. Of our total budget, which is just under $2 million, half of that is coming from fees, like artists pay us, or tuition fees, and the other half, which really subsidizes the programs, is coming from individual donations for the most part, some small grants.
You mentioned this is the 28th year?
28th year now.
And it was a park facility, but not anymore?
We actually still are a parks facility. The program was certainly begun by the city of Seattle. They had the Arts and Parks program, began all the bathhouse programs, of which we were one. That was cut from the city's budget just a few years after that, and independent nonprofits like Pratt, like Park Art Studio, began on the programs inside. The city continues to support Pratt and its programs by charging us just a small percentage of our gross revenues as rent. It's quickly cooling.
Do you know how to do this?
I tried this just long enough to discover it's really hot and really hard. And so one of the things I've learned is to respect how incredibly difficult it is and appreciate the talent of others.
I can see why this is so seductive. It's just got everything. So what's this?
This is our printmaking studio. You can see behind you there's 2 large etching presses, a class in progress. And this is the studio that we use for etching classes, woodblock, lino cut, other silk screening, for example.
Those are all separate classes?
Those are all separate classes, yeah. This is one of those studios where I mentioned earlier how you leave grad school, you don't have a place to work. This is one of those places that people can work. People come out of great programs like the University of Washington's printmaking program.
And then they can use these.
They can use these.
So these are things that are expensive for an individual artist
They
to
are.
purchase.
They are. And unless you're lucky enough to find someone who's willing to share with you, it's nice to have a place like Pratt where you can come and use those.
Remember the first class when we talked about the differences, the red and the green and the gold? We're going to use pure tungsten. We're going to have 2 1/8 electrodes, but I want you to look at the difference between these electrodes.
So this is mostly the metal sculpture.
It
We're
is.
talking
Large, yes.
big, I guess.
Yeah, this is the metal fabrication studio. It looks like we've class in progress. They're going to be they're learning how to weld aluminum.
Welding aluminum.
Welding is a popular program here. You'll see that there's equipment for drill presses, bench grinders.
So I don't know anything about welding equipment. Is this state of the art? Are you?
We actually have the whole range. We have you're standing right next to an oxyacetylene rig, which is kind of traditional, kind of old-fashioned. We also have arc, MIG, TIG, all the
MIG, TIG,
all the more advanced welding processes as well. So depending on the skill level of the student, the metal they're working with, they can choose the process that fits best.
So in the Dream facility, the new facility, is the plan to essentially expand the spaces or expand capacity for students?
There's a couple of goals. I mentioned how we divide our time 50-50 here for studio artists and students. What that means is that we're always making a trade-off.
Right.
We can either serve one or the other at any one particular time. So our goal in the new facility will be to duplicate resources so that studio artists and students can work at the same time, side by side. That would increase capacity. For example, here in Welding 1, we often have to turn away students.
I was going to ask you that. If
So this is an area where we'd love to be able to accommodate more. And I'd also love to be able to accommodate a studio artist working at the same time as this is going on. So that's one of the goals. Right behind you, actually, we also use this studio as a foundry. There's a bronze furnace in the floor. Right behind us, right there. It's just like the glass furnace. It's used for bronze, though. It melts about 300 pounds of bronze.
So
behind us are burnout kilns.
what's a burnout kiln?
They'll make their original in wax, invest it in plaster, and then stick it in there to burn out the wax, leaving an empty space that will accommodate the bronze. In fact, right here, it's a big sand pit beneath the floor. They'll load the molds right there in the floor, and then use the hoist to bring up a crucible of molten bronze and pour the bronze right here.
What was this building before it was an art?
It was a garage for Wonder Bread. And this was this was actually the pit that they used to get underneath the trucks and work.
Really?
Wonder Bread had donated this building to the city of Seattle in exchange for another parcel of land that they wanted. And the city helped create Pratt Fine Arts Center.
Doesn't smell like Wonder Bread anymore.
No.
So, Pratt, which is this corner?
We're spreading out a bit. What you'll see on this corner is an annex facility that we rent to run some of our children's programs as well as drawing and painting classes.
You have children's programs too.
We do. We have programs all the way from high school glassblowing, which is really popular, some new offerings for middle school age youth, and our longest running program is Kids Artworks, which is a free Saturday morning program for kids in the grade school ages every Saturday.
And from this neighborhood mostly?
Absolutely. The overwhelming majority of kids come from within walking distance, which is fun.
So you rent that now, but at some point...
We're going to move into this site, which is a 52,000 square foot block that we purchased.
You own the whole block of land?
We own the whole block, which is wonderful. Something that was made possible by a gift from John and Mary Shirley. We will develop a new facility on this site, about 38,000 square feet of new construction, that will allow us to decompress some of the tight spaces that you saw over there and offer additional programs.
So $25 million?
$25 million. I'm happy to say we're some quarter into that just now. Long way to go, but we've enjoyed a great deal of support from individual donors.
Will you stay in the building that you're currently in, or what happens?
The city's been very generous in allowing us to continue to occupy the 10,000 square foot building that we're in right now. And then we would add to that the warehouse that we have on this site as well as the new building.
So will you still be a city facility when you have your own building?
We will be partially a city facility. Pratt Fine Arts Center is an independent nonprofit operating in part in a city facility, so we will be both.
We'll be both. Well, good luck.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
and thanks
for
for coming.
To me.
I'm the 2D arts technician.
2D arts.
So that's painting, drawing, and printmaking.
and other miscellaneous things.
And Michael, you're in the big room with the fire, right?
Yeah, in the sculpture. So our sculpture programs are metal-based. So we have a foundry, a welding and fabrication shop, a blacksmithing program, and we also do stone carving. And we have a few support programs like mold making.
I just have to ask about when I hear blacksmith, I think of horseshoes. That's not what you're talking about, right?
Same techniques, different end result.
What kinds of students? We saw people. We didn't really get a chance to talk to them. So who comes and takes classes?
It's
here?
a wide variety of people. The most interesting thing is that they're paying for it and they want to be there. It's nothing about getting a grade and you just got to show up anyway. So we have returning people who used to be artists long ago or went to art school and then they're making time now, or they're retired, or we have kids, and we have anything that any kind of creative impulse that they have, they can usually find something here to do with it.
Is that pretty much your impression, Michael, as well, the people that you meet?
Yeah, I think for my department, though, I'd add to it that there's a lot of people that are involved in architecture and other allied practices where they want to get in and handle the materials that they're specifying on projects, try to understand them better so that their work improves.
At some point, you're going to raise hopefully $25 million and move from this facility. What will that let you do you think, that expansion?
I think it'll expand sort of the top end of what we're able to do. We'll become more of a regional presence, whereas now we're known regionally, but most of our students come from the Seattle area. It'll also let us do more concurrently and maybe allow better interaction between the programs.
One of the things that it seems is concurrent now, even in the small spaces, that there are classes and then studio artists get to come, like you did, I suppose, especially for these big sculptural projects or glassblowing. There's a lot of equipment that Pratt has that I would imagine an artist just out of school couldn't get. So do you see that balance between artists, professional working artists, and students would change with the expansion?
I think it would increase. I mean, part of the plans for at least the printmaking studio is to have a space where someone could always be working and as a class is going on. Right now, if a class is going on, they can't be in there working.
Right.
So I think that is one of the goals, is increasing our studio artists program.
It's one of the most unique things about Pratt, too. All the other places I've worked and studied and taught, you have either students or professionals. And for us to have both groups working next to each other, the students benefit from it more than the professionals do, but they get a chance to see it, and they don't have to keep waiting for real life to happen because it's like 20 feet away.
And there's some techniques that we can't necessarily do right now that we could be able to offer. And there's some cross-discipline stuff that we might be able to do. We're using more than one studio at once because it's not slotted only for one class. So I think the space should help.
On the Pratt website, there's a mission statement, and it's not to offer art classes. It's about enriching community.
It's amazing how much people can transform by taking a class from where they are and, just kind of nurturing that part of themselves that maybe they put aside for a long time. And then other people can feel that around them. So I think that that's kind of the community.
Compared to other places where you might go and study this, anyone can come here and take a class. No, you don't have to have an arts background. That's one of the first things to try to impress on people when they come here, is that if you have an interest, that's everything you need in terms of being qualified to come here. There's nothing else. You don't need an art degree. You don't need hand skills. You don't need big ideas. You just have to want to be around.
I'd like to thank you so much for taking time. It seems like you're probably so busy over there. So thanks, both of you, for coming over here.
You're welcome.